like and subscribe. Humanity's Undying Fire. In the far reaches of the galaxy, the Zarklon Empire, a race of advanced alien beings, developed a sinister technology using nanobots to reanimate the dead. These undead shock troops, soulless and relentless, decayed and rotted over time, but they were lethal in their short-lived prime. The Zarklon Empire, with its newly acquired faster-than-light travel technology, became unstoppable, conquering world after world. The galaxy trembled at their name, and soon they set their eyes on Earth, a world ripe with billions of lives to turn into troops and abundant resources to strip. The skies above Earth darkened as the Zarklon fleet arrived, blotting out the sun. Their capital ships, colossal and menacing, hovered in orbit. The people of Earth watched in horror as the ultimatum came: surrender and comply or face annihilation. The World Council gathered, and their response was defiant. "We shall light a fire at night. As long as our flames burn, you will know the fire inside humanity still burns." The Zarklon, outraged, sent wave after wave of their undead shock troops. The troops, dropped from orbit, descended upon cities and towns, killing indiscriminately and turning their victims into more shock troops. But the humans resisted fiercely. Each night, the planet lit up with the fires of freedom, a beacon of defiance against the invaders. The shock troops moved through the cities, their rotting bodies a horrifying sight. They killed and reanimated with ruthless efficiency. The humans, however, fought back with everything they had. In the ruins of New York, a group of survivors led by Captain Sarah Mitchell set up makeshift barricades and ambushes, using guerrilla tactics to slow down the undead armies. "Keep the fires burning," Captain Mitchell shouted as she threw a Molotov cocktail at a group of shock troops, with the explosion lighting up the night. In the heart of Chicago, a brave group of firefighters turned their fire station into a fortress. Led by Chief David Morales, they fortified the building with fire-resistant materials and stocked up on fuel and supplies. The firefighters used their hoses, filled with flammable liquids, to create barriers of fire that the undead couldn't easily cross. "Hold the line," Chief Morales commanded as they sprayed a wall of flames at the approaching shock troops. The heat was intense as the flames danced in the night. It created a deadly barrier. When the shock troops found a way around the fire, the firefighters switched tactics. They used axes and other tools to dismantle their reanimated bodies. "We'll make it through this," Morales reassured his team. "As long as we keep fighting, we have a chance." In a small town in Texas, a group of teachers and students barricaded themselves inside the local high school. Led by Principal Linda Harris, they turned the school into a stronghold. The gymnasium became their command center, and the classrooms were fortified with desks and bookshelves. The students, armed with makeshift weapons, stood ready to defend their home. Science teacher Mr. Thompson had rigged up a series of chemical traps using supplies from the chemistry lab. "Everyone stay calm and follow the plan," Principal Harris instructed. "We'll make it through this together." As the shock troops breached the outer defenses, the students and teachers sprang into action. They lured the undead into the hallways, where Mr. Thompson's traps exploded, dousing the shock troops in corrosive chemicals. In the library, a group of students led by Senior Jake Foster fought hand-to-hand with the reanimated soldiers. Using sports equipment and anything else they could find, they managed to hold their ground. "Don't let them get through," Jake shouted, swinging a baseball bat at the approaching troops. The students fought with determination, knowing that their survival depended on their unity and courage. In the schoolyard, a bonfire blazed brightly, a signal that the fight was far from over. As the night wore on, the defenders of the high school continued to repel the undead, their spirits unbroken. In the depths of Paris, a group of engineers and mechanics transformed the catacombs into a network of safe havens and strategic positions. Led by Marie Dupont, a former civil engineer, they used their knowledge of the underground tunnels to set up traps and ambushes for the shock troops. "Use the tunnels to our advantage," Marie instructed her team. "We know these passages better than they do." As the shock troops entered the catacombs, the resistance fighters triggered collapses and explosions, trapping and destroying the undead. In the narrow passages, the shock troops' numbers counted for little. In the coastal city of Sydney, a group of fishermen and sailors took to the seas to protect their own. Led by Captain Jack Hayes, they used their boats to create floating barricades and rafts filled with explosives. "Keep them away from the harbor," Captain Hayes ordered as they set sail. "We'll fight them on the water." As the shock troops waded into the bay, the sailors launched their explosive-laden rafts, creating massive detonations that tore through the undead ranks. Using nets and harpoons, they pulled down the reanimated soldiers, ensuring they couldn't reach the shore. "We're not giving up our home without a fight," Hayes declared, steering his boat towards another wave of shock troops. High in the Rocky Mountains, a group of survivalists fortified an old military bunker. Led by former Special Forces operative Tom Reynolds, they used the natural terrain and their training to create a nearly impregnable defense. "Use the high ground," Reynolds instructed. "We have the advantage here." As the shock troops attempted to climb the mountains, the survivalists unleashed a barrage of gunfire, rocks, and homemade explosives. The steep terrain and cold weather slowed the undead, making them easy targets. In the council chambers, Earth's leaders received reports of the ongoing battles. They knew the odds were against them, but surrender was not an option. Ambassador B.N.Rocker was chosen to negotiate with the Zarklon. He boarded a shuttle and was taken to the alien mothership. "Your resistance is futile," sneered General Sorath, the Zarklon commander. "Surrender now, and we might spare some of your people." Rocker stood tall, his voice unwavering. "You don't understand the human spirit. We would rather die on our feet than live on our knees. Surrender is not an option." The battle raged on. In the countryside, families huddled together, lighting torches made from their own hair and whatever they could find. The forests burned, the cities lay in ruins, but every night new freedom fires would light up, a testament to humanity's unyielding spirit. On the front lines, Private Jake Dawson fought alongside his comrades, using hit-and-run tactics against the undead. "We can't let them win," he whispered to himself as he lit another torch. The Zarklon fleet unleashed a devastating bombardment from orbit, leveling entire regions. Millions of humans were captured and imprisoned on the capital ship, destined to be converted into shock troops. But Earth's resolve only grew stronger. As the final battalion of shock troops was deployed, on Earth the flames of defiance continued to burn. General Sorath watched from the command center, frustration etched on his face. "Why won't they give up?" he roared. On the ground, guerrilla fighters like Captain Mitchell and Private Dawson launched coordinated attacks on the shock troops, driving them back. The skies lit up with flames brighter than ever before. General Sorath, realizing the futility of their efforts, ordered a retreat. "This world is not worth the losses," he admitted bitterly. The Zarklon fleet began to withdraw, and the prisoners were released. As Ambassador Rocker returned to Earth, he was greeted by the World Council. "How did you keep the people lighting fires after such punishment?" he asked. The council leader smiled. "After the power plants went out and the cities were destroyed, people crawled out of their hiding places. They used whatever they could find to create makeshift torches. Humanity will never be slaves. We will die hand in hand with our brothers and sisters before we let that happen." Earth stood victorious, its spirit unbroken. The Zarklon had underestimated the will of humanity. As the sun rose over the battered planet, the fires of freedom continued to burn, a symbol of hope and resilience for all. This is not goodbye, nor the end. Until the story continues, my friends. B.N.Rocker.